Hello again, Struckweb. Today I'm bringing you a video about the upcoming Godfall game, which developers have self-titled as a water slasher, but it seems to play and feel like Warframe without the guns, but more, much more. Even though there's no guns and there's only melee weapons, it still looks and seems to be a promising title that I'm very excited about, and I'm finally starting to do some research and collecting some information about the game. Today I will be bringing a few videos centered around different parts of the game, different aspects of the game, of the end game, of the wood, of the build diversity, etc. This one would be about gear, loadouts and the armory. So I would start by saying that I've collected some quotes from different interviews that the developers did with Gamebyte or with IGN, and I've just taken those quotes and I would share those quotes with you. The first thing that is the basic of your build is the Valorplates. Here's another quote from the devs. Think of the Valorplates as your canvas, and the various wood vectors as layers of paint you apply to build a complete portrait. If there was a piece of wood that you really liked and you wanted to use for an extended period of time, we wanted to make sure there was some ability to bring that weapon with you throughout the game. More about this in a video about enchanting, but this is referring to enchanting where you can upgrade the rarity of one weapon to a higher degree and you can upgrade a weapon further from stage 0, like tier 0, to upgrade to tier 1, tier 2, etc. to tier 10. There's no actual system that calls them tiers, but upgrades go up to 10 levels of upgrades, and rarities go from uncommon to rare to epic and to legendary. So let's look at the layers. Layer 1, the developers say, are weapons. There are over 120 unique weapons in Godfall across the 5 weapon classes, and every weapon has a name and lore associated with it. Every weapon has a primary trait that is completely unique to it, along with secondary traits that are wrought from a pool of shared traits. Players can equip up to 2 weapons in their loadout, which is very crucial, by the way, information. And there's, to those of you who are wondering, there's 5 different weapon classes. A longsword, which is more of a balanced weapon, dual blades, which is the fast, mobile, nimble weapon. Then there's polearm, then there's two-handed warhammer and two-handed greatsword. I will do another video which would be talking more about weapon classes and combining that with some of the information they've given us about the dual blades, the shield and the longsword. And the shield, everyone has a shield. The shield is used for blocking. So every player has a shield from the start, which is separate from the weapons. Regardless of what weapon you can pick, you can always switch to shield and block an attack. You can also do certain things like parry attacks or counter attack and other such good stuff. More about that in a different video. So layer 2 would be the trinkets. There are 3 types of trinkets: amulets, rings and charms. So together with those 2 weapons and the shield, and with the lifestone and banner, you have a very nice sort of customization, but more about the others later. So like weapons, every trinket has a unique primary trait associated with it. Players can equip 2 rings, 1 amulet and 1 charm in their loadout. Layer 3 would be wifestones. Similar to other pieces of wood, the wifestone will have primary and secondary traits. However, this particular piece is unique in the sense that it also serves as the player's self-heal. There are some really neat wood triggers tied to wifestones that make self-preservation a balancing act in Godfall. Players can equip 1 lifestone in their loadout. Lifestones have a set number of charges. Charges are restored throughout combat, and there's something called drain that I've noticed on the screenshots. So I'm assuming the higher the drain, the more it will take from those charges when using those lifestones. Let's talk about layer 4. Layer 4 is the battle banner. Battle banners are another charge-based piece of wood, similar to the lifestone. When placed, these banners can either provide buffs to yourself and nearby allies, or debuffs multiple there, to nearby enemies. Battle banners are one of the most powerful co-op tools a player will have. That said, they will still pack a powerful punch in solo play. And I'm assuming what they mean by this is that you can stack different banners together to buff the party or to stack different debuffs on an enemy. That's why they're probably this powerful. So layer number 5. Augment constellations. An augment constellation is essentially an empty skill grid that the players fill in themselves. They fill the constellation with augments, unique pieces of wood that provide incredibly powerful benefits, and those also have rarities. And based on the rarity of that, they will give you they will have a certain cost, and you have a total of 100 augment charges. But more about that in another video. That's more about build diversity, skills, augments, etc. So there's another quote here from the devs, which I really liked and wanted to include and put it on the screen. So you're not being told, hey, you have to go do this side mission to unlock Method of Valorplate. You should be able to probably get enough crafting materials for a handful of those throughout the campaign itself. And then if there are any items needed for the others, you should have a list of activities to pick from. Be able to choose what you want and to fill out those last pieces of your armory without feeling slowed down. And this is referring to how the player and the developers want to value your time and want to give you different options of how you can craft a certain Valorplates. And yeah, Valorplates are crafted, and everyone should be able to craft every Valorplate. And as you progress through the main story, through the campaign, before reaching the end game, you should be able to get enough materials. They know different players have different amount of time they want to play, and they can play every day, or some people only play on the weekend. So they know this, and they've tried to make a game that you can play for 2 minutes, pick it up for a few minutes if you want to, or pick it up for a few hours if you want to, but something that you can enjoy for a lifetime. That's their ideology. But you can definitely enjoy the game for a lifetime if you want to, as long as they keep bringing that content. So I really like that they know that people are not robots. They can't grind all day, and if you want to focus on farming this one piece of equipment, you would be able to just do missions that you like. You don't have to do this type of endgame content. You can do any type of endgame content as long as you're doing the right area. So there's further on that regarding how the developer said that certain pieces of equipment, certain crafting materials might drop in the water world, and you would be able to go there. You would be able to go to the water world throughout the campaign, throughout the story. You would be able to go in endgame missions of various types to that world and farm those materials. There's another quote there. One of our core philosophies will always be the tinkerer's dream. If there's the appetite for that, for the player to continue experimenting, we want to just make sure that the playground's open and you're ready to play. And this is pretty decent. This means that they know that people love tinkering, some people love making builds, whereas others love to just use those builds instead of racking their brains and crunching numbers and so on. And for people like me who love making builds, this is probably a paradise of a game, a sandbox where I can go out and make all sorts of weird builds. Another thing that they said in one of the interviews is Trinkets should be adding that last final touch. They're unique pieces of wood in the sense that they're not visual, the same way that weapons are. You don't see the trinkets that you have equipped, but they have these unique traits that closely tie into the various archetypes that you can explore within Godfall. And the right trinket put into the right build is really what is supposed to round it out and bring that build together. And as we've seen, there's different types of things like might, spirit, or vitality that you would want to stack. So it's definitely good to consider all of that when making builds. Whether you want to go for more might, more spirit, more vitality, do you want to be doing more damage like a glass canyon, do you want to be more of a tanky supporter healer kind of guy? And some of the screenshots that we've seen do show us exactly this as an option. Now let's look at some of the screenshots and try to maybe kind of analyze what's happening there. You can see in this first screenshot we have Greyhawk as the Valorplate, and the person has two weapons. He has the 3 trinkets, and there's the shield, and then at the bottom we see the Wivestone and the banner. And we see that there's Might, Spirit and Vitality, and this person went for more Vitality, middle range Spirit, and the least amount of Might. And you can see some of the affixes that he's stacking, such as crit chance, bonus crit damage on crit hit, so I mean that's the crit damage bonus, and weak point bonus damage, as well as some ailments like bleed, ignite, chill, shock, poison, curse, decent amount of ailments. Then if we move to a next screenshot, we can see that this build is more for the might, with again Spirit in the middle, Vitality less, so this is more of a glass cannon kind of a build. We can see the HP of this first build was more, 1700, whereas this one is 1500. And then if we go to this Mesa build, instead of the Aegis Horn or the Greyhawk, the Mesa build that we are seeing here for this person that made it is focusing more on Vitality and Spirit, kind of equal Vitality and Spirit, less Might. Again, more HP, kind of like the first build we saw, but this one has a lot of poison, 22% poison on that build. So that's pretty interesting. And then if we go and check some of the other screenshots, we would see that some of the charms use Spirit, other charms use Might as the main attribute, and then other charms give you Vitality. So all trinkets, all pieces of equipment that round up the build would give us one attribute. Do you want to go for a Spirit build, Might build, or Vitality build? And you can see that War Talisman, the first one that I showed, is for healing. Restore 36 health when you and nearby allies, to you and nearby allies whenever you hit a weak point. So this is kind of to heal as long as you hit weak points, maybe more of a weak point centered build with secondary affix, which is tank down damage and water damage. Then this one kind of is more of a glass cannon build. Whenever you hit a weak point, shoot a projectile that deals 621 physical damage. And it's a might charm. And then this charm that we see, it's blinding the nearby enemies whenever you use your Wivestone. So that's pretty much for support, for team support or for soul support. Blinding, I'm not sure how it works, whether when the enemy is blinded they would do 0 damage on hit, whether you would be dodging the attacks or whether they're just not gonna attack because they're blinded, or whether they can still hit you, but they're just gonna be randomly swinging the weapon. This remains to be seen. Then when we move to amulets, to amulets, we can see this one amulet here, level 50 amulet, gives us a nice amount of might. And it gives this interesting primary affix, 81% breach damage to full health enemies with a cooldown of 30 seconds. That's very interesting. I'm wondering what breach damage is. I'm assuming maybe the enemies would have some sort of armor you have to get down to breach, and then you can do breach damage. Or maybe breach damage does damage to that armor to get it down, to breach it, so you can then ignore their armor. Maybe, that's just my guess, take it with a grain or two of salt. Then we see this amulet, a Brother's Promise, that says 14% chance to summon a Spirit Warrior ally whenever you Soul Shatter an enemy. I have no idea what Soul Shatter is, but it seems like an interesting thing, and being able to summon an ally to fight alongside you seems like a very great idea. I can't wait to try some weird summoner builds in this game. And then we see some sort of uncommon amulet with just a primary stat without any secondary affixes. So those would exist. That's what we're gonna be using when we're low level at the beginning, maybe, if you're unlucky. So I think that pretty much is it for this video. Again, I will be making more videos. I will try to keep those videos short and easy to digest. To get notified when I upload more content like this or similar for this game or other games like it, such as wooters of all varieties, you could subscribe to my channel, hit the bell button to not miss out on notifications, and optionally you can even join as a member of the Struck Club and get access to emotes, badges or other perks such as private tutorials and things like that. And I would like to use this part of the video to thank the people who are currently YouTube members of the Struck Club. Thanks for watching this video, keep it cool, and until next time, Struck Club. Goodbye.